Video that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been flying for probably about 4 years now, and I've been noticing some mistakes that people that I'm teaching or even people that I see out on fields are making. They're all very avoidable, but they are all detrimental to your flight experience. So I thought I'd go through them really quick. Seven rookie mistakes that a lot of drone pilots make, both beginners and more advanced pilots. So whether you're new to the hobby or you just want to see if you can get a little bit better, here are my 7 mistakes that you can avoid very easily. Number 1, people try to turn start their quadcopter or hexcopter or whatever it is up without having it on a level surface. Now, some of these have an on-off switch and some of them don't. Regardless, you don't want to power up while you're holding it like this, because it basically sets the accelerometers, the gyros, everything inside there to tell it that this is level. What it's looking for when you power it up is, what does level look like and how can I fly stable and level. If you're finding that your quadcopter is drifting really hard to one side or the other, turn it off, set it on flat surface, and then turn it back on and make sure that everything boots up in a flat level position. You'll find that when you do that consistently, you'll get a really nice level hover no matter what the situation. The number 2 mistake I see a lot is the pilot getting disoriented when the craft has yawed left or right. And what I mean by that is, typically when you're beginning, you're going to have the craft facing away from you. Now, I'm talking about when you're flying in normal mode, not in headless mode. Headless mode is a different story. But let's say that you're flying it in normal mode, as you should learn to do. When you fly the craft and it's facing away from you and you push the stick left, it's going to go left. You push the stick forward, it's going to go forward away from you. However, if the craft is turned, let's say it's facing you and you don't know it because it's too far away to tell, you push the stick right, it's going to go left. You push the stick left, it's going to go right. You push the stick away from you, it's going to come towards you. You pull the stick back and it's going to go away from you. It's backwards, because it's just like if you ever took theater or you've ever been on a stage, stage left is the opposite of house left for the audience. So basically, you've always got to keep in mind which direction the craft is facing and orient yourself towards the nose of the craft so that you know that if it's like this and I push the stick right, it's going to go right and away from me. If it's like this and I push the stick right, it's going to go left from my position. So basically, when you start off, it's good to learn to fly the thing with the back of the craft always facing you and the nose always facing away. So as much as you can orient the yaw, don't even play with the yaw that much except to keep it in that position when you're first learning. As you get better, practice flying in circles with the nose always going and using your yaw to make circles rather than just keeping it oriented with the back towards you. And then eventually you'll get very comfortable to where no matter which way it's facing, you'll know which way it's going to turn if you push the stick a certain direction. The number 3 thing I see a lot of people do, and this happens pretty often with the bigger craft as well as the smaller ones, but when they have the landing gear that elevates them a little bit, there's a thing called ground effect. And ground effect is essentially the rotors pushing down on the air, pulling air through, and creating a lot of pressure down here. The air has nowhere to go because of all the force. And what that does is it creates a little bit of a bubble that the craft is sitting on and can cause it to flip over. So the thing I've noticed people doing wrong is not giving enough gas or enough throttle when they're trying to get off the ground. They kind of give it a little bit, it goes up a little bit, it gets on that bubble and it flips over. So the number 3 thing I would say to avoid is when you're taking off or landing, making sure that you're giving the appropriate amount of throttle. And on takeoff, giving it quite a bit of throttle is okay. Once you're 3 or 4 feet off the ground, you can back off in that throttle and level out. But what you don't want to be doing is hovering over that ground effect where it'll flip the craft over and cause you prop damage or worse. The number 4 thing I see people do a lot is fly their batteries too far down on the drainage scale. And what I mean by that is LiPo batteries are not designed to be discharged 100% like older batteries were. You basically want to see if you can keep your batteries at 20% or above. Now, on the Phantom 3, Phantom 4, you've got all kinds of telemetry on your tablet that's telling you where your batteries are. So it's pretty easy to keep track. You even have little LEDs on the back of the battery that are telling you, hey, this has got 4 bars, so it's full. This has got 2 bars, so it's 50%. It's got 1 bar, so it's 25%. My point being that on these smaller ones, you don't. So with these, you're going to want to set a timer. The manufacturer will tell you this will fly 7 to 10 minutes. So set your timer for 6 minutes and bring it in after 6 minutes so that you don't run the battery all the way down, or risk it falling out of the sky on top of somebody or on something you don't want to fall on. For the bigger craft that give you some telemetry data, I recommend setting an alert at 30% and starting to bring it in then, because if you go down below 30%, you're going to need that time between, it'll drop from 30 to 20 pretty quickly, and you're going to need that time to get it landed safely nearby and recover the craft. The number 5 thing I see a lot of people do is fly their crafts way too high or way too far away very quickly. Now, why do I say that? Because first of all, according to the FAA, you should not be flying over 400 feet in the air anyway for safety, and I'm a big proponent of following that rule.